John Jorro went to the United States of America. He then called his wife from Kenya to the United States. When the wife reached the United States, she reported him to authorities. And then John Jorro was arrested. As we speak right now, he's divorced, jobless, and broke. And the wife, thriving. This is just one of the examples why I say, when I go to the United States, I will not marry. We don't have the side of the story of the wife, but this one alone and many other factors are the reasons why I say that if I decide to go to the United States, I'm not getting a wife. And this is the chronology of events. John Jorro, while in Kenya, aspired to go to the United States, just like many of us wish to go to the United States. He managed to go there. It's not a very easy thing. I've told you here how I was denied a visa. I could not travel to the US, but John Jorro miraculously managed to go to the United States of America. So when John reached the United States, he felt, this is very good life. This is a land of opportunities. I have a job, I have money that I can send back home. This is a very good land. I can call my wife and then we can make a fortune together as a family. Then maybe we will relocate back to Africa when we make a lot of wealth in this country. So what does he do? He calls his wife in Kenya. How are you, mama boy? Now, are you okay? Now, America is a land of opportunities. I have reached here and we have a lot of jobs. We earn in dollars. We earn a lot of money. I want you to come to the United States of America so that we can work and make more money. And what does the wife do? The wife gets excited. And then the wife prepares herself when she's still here. And you know, she's not traveling there independently. It's very easy for now a woman to travel to the United States when her husband is there. So she's traveling there as a dependent. She's traveling there as the wife of John Jorro. So John Jorro facilitates everything and the wife travels from Kenya to the United States. Now they are in the United States. Two of them, husband, wife, very okay in the United States. They start working on their things. Now, this is the catch, and the reason why I say it's very difficult for me to go to the US with a wife, or to maybe to reach there and then find a wife. The marriage starts having problems. And marriages will always have problems. I have always narrated on this channel that there is no perfect marriage. The only marriage that works is a marriage where a husband and a wife wants it to work. Both parties, the husband, the wife, you sit together and you decide that this marriage will benefit you and it will benefit me. So if there is a problem, let us solve it together. But what happened between Jorro and his wife? We are not told exactly what happened, but the common happened. When you bring a wife from Kenya and she reaches there, the next thing when she makes it, she's going to divorce you. We have heard of so many cases. It's just that in this video, I'm talking about John Jorro. So when the wife reached there, I think she made some money. We will hear about her story later, but I think she made some money, and so the marriage had problems. And so what did she do? They divorced. Now, she reported John Jorro to authorities. And John Jorro, you know, in the United States, by the way, let me tell you something. In the US, when a woman reports you to authorities, the US listens to women more than men. The US favors women more than men. Even if your wife just starts crying, why? My husband is beating me. Why, my husband? And she's just crying. You are not beating her, but she just starts crying. And then she calls the police. Authorities! She calls the police. The police will come and they will arrest you. Don't joke. If your wife takes a knife and then starts cutting herself, and there's no CCTV recording her, she starts cutting herself and then she starts running around. Oh, my husband has done this. My husband. Then she goes to the police. Bro, you are going to be arrested for gender-based violence. The US authorities listen to women more than men, according to what we hear. Okay, those who are in the United States can tell us, but according to what we know, that is what usually happens in the United States. So John Jorro's wife in the United States reported him to authorities, and then the police came and then they arrested him. Then they took him to jail. Now, there's an important part you have to get here. John Jorro was already ill. He had a problem with his leg. I think there were 7 nerves that had a problem. And when we have a nerve problem, we also have a coordination problem. Nerves are the ones that coordinate the movement and the just the general movement, the flexion. I don't want to go into those terminologies of the leg. So when we have our innervation problem, then the movement of the leg becomes a problem. So because he had a leg problem, I suppose he had problems also with working. And in these marriages, when you don't have money, usually women don't think you are a very important man. In most cases, women want you when you have money. But I think because he had a problem and he admitted that he could not work, then it means he could not get money. Then maybe when you are incapacitated as a man, sometimes you become irritated when you feel like you cannot provide for your family. Sometimes you feel inadequate, okay? And so I don't want to make conclusions about what made him arrested, but what we know is that the wife is the one who reported him to the police, and then he went to the police, then he was arrested. Then he went to jail, and then he served his jail term for I don't know how long, but I think his jail time was short. Then he was released. Now, when he was released, he continued having legal problems. Why? Because of the wife. I want you to get this story very well. I don't want you to lose it. Let me recap it so that you can connect it very well. He brought his wife from Kenya. The wife comes to the US. He has a leg problem. He cannot work, so he cannot make money very well. The wife reports him to the authorities. We are not told the reason why. He gets arrested, okay? Then he comes out of jail. He is incapacitated. He has a leg problem, which started when he was with his wife. He has a problem with his leg. Now he cannot work. He has no money. But again, the wife still presses these charges against him. So he continues having legal problems even after getting out of jail. He now falls back because of spending money on cases, and you are always in court doing this and that. He can now not manage his life, and so he could not even pay his rent because you have now to go to court, you have now to attend to, he can now not even buy enough things for himself. That means that he was falling behind on rent, and the landlord told him, get out of my house. He had a 1-bedroom apartment. 1 bedroom. Let me not talk about that. But he was living in a 1-bedroom house. The landlord came and then told him, get out of this house. Then he got out of the house. The man is now living in his car. In Kenya, if you live in a car, you are a rich person. But in the US, when you live in a car, you are a very poor person, because people who live in cars are people who cannot afford a house. But in Kenya, you can afford houses more than cars. But in the US, people can afford cars more than houses. I don't know how that system works. It's a very interesting system. So he lives in, and it's not just a car. It's a Mercedes-Benz. Njoro has a Mercedes-Benz. So Njoro stays now in a Mercedes-Benz. Okay? And the wife is, I suppose she's comfortable wherever she is. She has not spoken about anything. So this story is still developing. Njoro is asking for help from fellow Americans. Now, if we leave this story alone and focus on the reasons why I cannot marry when I go to the US, if by chance I go there, the US system favors women more than men. And women have realized this. And Kenyan women actually don't know that the US economy favors them more than men. If you go to the US and you call your wife to go to the US and you are now there as a couple, the system there, the government favors her more than you. And if she realizes that she can get more benefits by divorcing you, she's going to divorce you. There are a lot of divorce rates in the US for immigrants. When you travel with your wife to the US, and I have seen this including my own friends, we completed university together, they married, they went there with the wife, then the wife divorced them. Those who are still together are just a few. A lot of them got divorced. The reason is that the government supports these women. And men now are suffering the systemic effects of this problem. For example, I have been reading about this thing, and people in the US can agree with me, that right now we have so many women enrolling in colleges more than men. This means that the US education system favors women more than men. Okay. For those who are in colleges, there are more graduation rates for women more than men. This means that when ladies are in school, the system that used to favor men in the past is now favoring women more than men. So we are starting to have that inequality. So we find that during graduation, we have more women who are graduating than men. And even these advanced degrees in healthcare and in assistance and everything, you find that women are enrolling more in advanced degrees like master's degrees and PhDs. And so women in the United States are graduating more and advancing more in education than men. And what about payroll jobs? Payroll jobs are reflecting exactly what is happening in school. Why? Because women now hold more payroll jobs than men. Are you getting what I'm saying? Women hold more payroll jobs than men in the United States. So the US system, when you look at it, let me stop there. Let me stop at education, because there are many other factors, including legal issues and everything. When you look at the US system, it is a female economy. It's an economy designed to make women better than men. So it is an economy meant to protect women. It's not an economy meant to protect a man. For example, look at the case of Njoro. When we come back to the case of Njoro, what should happen ideally? If it's the man who has divorced a woman, do you know what should happen? Let me tell you what should happen. If a woman is incapacitated, let's say that it is Njoro's wife who had a leg problem, and then she cannot go to work. She tries to work like the way Njoro worked. By the way, Njoro tried to go to work. You should not say that Njoro is lazy. No, Njoro tried to go to work, but his leg could not allow him. He even tried delivery jobs. He could not manage. So if it is Njoro who had divorced his wife, and then the wife has a leg problem, it means that the wife can go to court. And women usually fight, by the way. They go to court for alimony. Now, alimony is very important. For those who don't know alimony, alimony is money paid to a spouse to cushion them from the economic effects. After divorce, there is one party who has money, and there is another party who is likely to suffer, especially when they are incapacitated, when they are sick, when they are, they cannot work very well. You find that they have a problem. So sometimes you can divorce them because they are sick. When the court looks at that, it says that you have to support your spouse. Okay, that is what alimony is, and you'll continue supporting them even after divorce. Now, traditionally, men used to support women after divorce almost always, because women never used to go to work, and so it is men who used to support women. Now, in the case of Njoro, after divorce, it is a woman now who is supposed to help him, but a woman is not supporting him. Njoro has not said that a woman is supporting him, and I understand it, because a lot of men in the US don't go to seek support from women, alimony from women, because it is socially embarrassing and it is emasculating for men. A man can feel like he's a female man, if such a word exists. A man can feel like he's not a man enough when he goes to court and then asks for support from his woman. And so that is why Njoro is the way he is. But if it was the wife, and she uses a family lawyer, the wife would have gotten alimony from Njoro. So you find that the US system favors women more. And women don't feel like maybe emasculated. I don't know if for women, I don't know how we can call it for women. Women don't feel weak when they fleece a man. Women don't feel weak when they tell men to give them money. You see, so they will just look for a family lawyer, and then they go to court, even if they have a job. Bro, 97% of women in the United States are the ones receiving alimony. Only 3% of men receive alimony. 97% is women. And lawyers know this, and these judges, all the judges who used to operate in traditional courts, US has very old judges, 60 years, 70 years old. So they used to work in a traditional system where men used to earn more. And so they are still making judgments right now. You can confirm it. Judges, these older judges, baby boomers, are still making judgments for men in the current generation as if it's in the traditional setup. So you will find that a woman, even if she has a very good career, even if she is a nurse practitioner with a very good salary, she will go to court and she will compel the court for you to give her money. And the court will just grant her alimony. 97% of ladies are getting that. So you see, so the system in the United States is meant to favor women more than men. I have looked at this thing and I have confirmed that it is true. So looking at the case of Njoro, and looking at the way the US treats men, and looking at the way the education system is structured and how women are graduating more than men, and looking at the job system, how women now hold more payroll jobs than men. Do you want to tell me that if I relocate to the US, I should go there with a wife? It doesn't make sense. It's not because I don't want a wife. Some people will say that Gidi hates women. No, it's not about hating women. It's about looking at the system in the US. It's not favoring a man. The woman and the government are conspiring against a man. And you find that a man is disadvantaged in that system of the US. And as the world progresses, you will find that a lot of men in the US are not going to experience very good life, as I can say it, if they continue having women. And so I reached the point of understanding men who came up with the idea of MGTOW. You see, a lot of people don't know MGTOW, especially Kenyan men, because we still go for these women. You know, we can play around, and then the government will not really favor women much. MGTOW in the US means that men going their own way, and men decided to go their own way because of the way the government and the women were conspiring to oppress a man. And we can see now the systemic oppression that has happened over time. You find that men are now being disadvantaged. Now, before you marry, you are not disadvantaged. But the moment you enter into a legal marriage setup, that is where your problems start. Because this woman can do anything. If she cries and complains to the authorities, you are done. If she divorces you, you are done. So you are always on the losing end as a husband in the United States. In Kenya, I think the laws are a bit more balanced. Even though they are not very balanced, but in Kenya, the laws are a bit more balanced. Not very balanced, because if you beat your wife in Kenya, it can be a very bad case. But if your wife beats you and you go to the police will ask you, why are you allowing a woman to beat you? But if you don't allow her to beat you and then you beat her, it's again a problem. So you see, so it is still favoring women, but not that much. But when you go to the United States, it's clear favoring women. That if your woman even complains that my husband was touching me inappropriately. You know, if your wife goes to court and then she says that you are touching her inappropriately, do you know you can be arrested? Do you know you can be arrested? That a woman in marriage in the US, she's supposed to provide consent. Bro, consent is something you have to continuously look for. That even if she's your wife, she's your legally married wife, you have to continuously be asking her for consent. If she does not provide consent in bed, that means that you are on a losing end. You see the way the US system is structured. That is why I usually say in my videos, anytime I say that I want to go to the US, I go alone. When I reach the US, I don't joke with women. I will never engage in a heated exchange with a woman. I will never engage in violence with any woman. I will never even do it without protection with a woman. Because there are women who have mastered the art of capturing you. You know, I've heard this thing a lot in the US. I have heard stories where there are ladies in the US, for these immigrants especially, these guys who are ignorant. You go to the US, you have a lot of nyege, you want to run around with women, then she comes, then she pretends like she wants to love you, then you make her pregnant, then child support, you start paying child support. Then she targets another immigrant comes from Kenya. You know, we Kenyans, when we reach the US, hey, you think a lady loves you, then you say, US, they are women. Like, I have friends in the US who keep telling me that, hey, US has a lot of women. When we go to the US, hey, we found very good white girls. White girls? You find very good women and they love you. These ladies are very good. They can even give you money. Bro, these ladies are capturing you. The moment you do it and she gets pregnant, child support. So you find that a lady has 3 men who are paying her child support. I have heard of it. This is an issue that has happened a lot. So you find that when you go to the US, bro, you are at a disadvantage. You are not at an advantage when it comes to the issue of marriage and relationships and all that. The US is a system where, as a man, when you go there, just go there, do whatever took you there, make your money, and if you have a child, for example, if you want to have a child and you are now ready to support that child, now have that child. I'm not saying that you should not have children. Have children and then be ready to support the children. Not through child support. I usually support a situation where a man gets a wife and then they sit together to support children. But if you are this young man running around, hey, make ladies pregnant, then you start child support, bro, you are not going to manage in that system. A lot of men are frustrated in that system. So I don't live in the United States myself. So people who are in the United States, I could be speaking lies. You can help me understand. Am I speaking lies that when a person goes to the US, a man goes to the United States and brings a wife over, they usually divorce? In most cases, I'm not saying all cases, because there are women who are ready to make their families work, but in most cases, they divorce. Am I speaking lies? You can tell me here. Number 2, am I speaking lies that when a woman complains to the authorities that you are hurting her, that the authorities will come for you? Am I lying? That if she starts crying in the house and screaming that you are beating her, and there is no CCTV, and she even cuts herself and rushes to authorities, and then complains that it's my husband who did this, will you not be arrested? Please, people in the US, help me understand this. Number 3, is the system favoring women when it comes to education, when it comes to payroll jobs? Are women holding more jobs now? People in the US, help me understand this. And so, is it financially reasonable for a young man to marry? Help me understand this. Also, help me understand, is it reasonable for a young man to make ladies pregnant in the US? Help me understand that. So it is a very terrible decision to go to the US and start associating with girls. You want girlfriends, you want to make them pregnant, you want to have a wife early. You are putting yourself in problems. So for me, when I go to the US, and if I manage to go there, I cannot get a wife, and I ask my fellow men, and you, when you go there, do not get a wife. But for the case of Njoro, we still don't know what happened, because the wife has not spoken. Until the wife will speak, that is when we will get the right side of the story. Thank you for listening to me. This is Gidi Akali, and we shall meet again in another video.